Lisa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All righty, we can start here in a second. He's going to be here a little later. Can't remember.
20.
Yeah, I don't know. They attending virtually. Hey, Alyssa,
Yeah,
is Tony on the line there?
yes, he is.
Ah, okay. We don't see him for some reason. So, first item, controllers update. He says he put all the money in his suitcase and is now in the Caribbean. Wait, no, it says he was hoping to feel good enough to attend tonight, but not so. All right, he said there's not much to update with the financial report. That will likely be the case until we close out 2022 results in April. Sent out copies of the report to the Common Council yesterday. My budget transfers are standard 2022 closeouts. Both have a favorable financial impact by replenishing contingency. I also have a CSCA MOA on the agenda for the COVID-19 premium pay for one position that Bill Wallens and I handled together. The terms for that employee's premium pay are consistent with the citywide MOA that is also on the agenda. If there are questions on these items or anything else, please feel free to send me an email and I will respond when I'm back in the office. All right, so we're flying without a navigator. Thank you. All right, we're calling the meeting of the Finance Committee to order here at 6:40 on Wednesday, February the 8th. All right, Elizabeth, so we can't see anybody. I don't know if that really matters. Anybody that's online, I mean. If I go to gallery view? I couldn't find it.
Can't see anyone?
Now we can.
I think it's still gotta be in the gallery though. Yes.
You're bigger than life, Tony.
I think you probably have to put it on full screen or something. I think if you have it on a one, it's the only person who's going to show up is who's speaking.
Yeah.
So I think you have to put it on gallery. Come on, Mike Oliveri's in Asian, know this technology.
Dan's up there.
He's assessing the situation. Hey, I guess. I'm looking to get Annie. All right, well, we're getting that going. Noah, are you here with us?
I am. I'm here.
Hello, there you are. We see you.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you tonight?
Good.
As I understand it, you're here to request some clean liens.
Correct.
Tell us about it.
So we purchased 2 properties last year from the city of Kingston for back taxes. At the time, we did a title search on them. They came back clean. So we have a clean and insurable title. And sometime between then and now, apparently there was a large unpaid water bill on the property, and that was added. That was moved from the water department and put onto a lien on the property. And it was quite a bit about. It's on 2 homes. One of them is 232 Elmendorf, and the water bill amount was for $8,021 with 96 cents. And 50 Crane was not that much, but still something. It's 240 and 76. And I was unaware until we got the tax bill recently. And like I said, when we purchased them, that didn't come up. The liens weren't there. The title search came back clean.
So the basic argument you're making is that these costs were incurred while they were in the city's possession,
Correct.
and you're asking us to make you whole for these amounts.
Correct.
All right, good. Any questions for Noah there?
I actually read it.
Barbara?
So, John Toohey reached out to me about this, and since I did not hear about this item before the agenda was posted, there's still some outstanding questions about whether and how we might even grant such a request. So, I have not had an opportunity to look into that.
All right, did you hear that, Noah?
I caught a little bit of it that she hadn't had a chance to review, that she just found out about it.
Yes, Corporation Counsel has not had a chance to review, and so there's some questions about the process and the claim.
Okay.
So Corporation Counsel will speak to our comptroller. And would you be including Revco in this discussion or just? Okay, it'll just be between the 2 of them. And then we'll get back in touch with you.
Okay, sounds good. Let me know. And if you have any, questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, will do. Thank you for all the stuff y'all do at Revco.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for everything you guys do.
Good night.
Okay. Good night. Thanks.
Great, that puts you up next. So, transfer? Yes?
Yes.
So what for what?
Yeah, paperwork. Actually, it's transfers for salaries for one from the grant for the ambulance mental health fund, for salaries for 2022.
Right, from the mental health grant and then into fire 3410 and 3410, 103 in overtime.
That's the overtime and number one should be that one.
Yes.
Kind of cleaning stuff up by the year for calendar year, so you expect another one in May for the same, similar transfers.
Okay, and so, there's no financial impact, right?
No.
Any questions for the chief?
No, I just want to say that it, when the announcement came out, it looked like there was an overwhelmingly positive response from the public yesterday.
We had 2 calls today. One was transported, one was not transported, which is positive there. Yesterday, it actually went on an emergency call.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, just to reiterate, I'm just really excited to see the things you guys are gonna be able to do for the community with that, so thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mayor. This is
Yeah. Tony, what's your question?
And C. Ray, in regard to what we talked about in the fire commission, you guys are responding with the ambulance only. Are you just responding right now, or are you only responding if Mobile Life doesn't have a unit coming?
Hopefully it doesn't have a unit coming, then it's a mutual aid ambulance first. Then if they go to a second dispatch, then we will dispatch our ambulance.
Alrighty. So did I hear you correctly that the ambulance was dispatched a couple times in the last day or so?
Today was for 2 mental health calls. Yesterday was one for a cardiac problem.
Okay.
The cardiac problem actually, Tony, was they had dispatched Diaz to come to it. So that kicked us into motion, saying now we're going to go get, we're going
Okay.
to get ambulance.
Alrighty. You guys are doing a fine job as usual. Thank you.
All right, then do we have a motion to discuss? Steve Shabbat, second by Michael Riviere. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
Next item is.
Randy, I gave you permission to sign my name.
Oh, great, thank you. The next item is budget transfer in KPD. This is for 3 retirement buyouts. The total cost is going to be $157,000. I'm sorry, $157,417, drawn from contingency. Any questions here? I don't see the chief online. I don't know that. Really
I'm sorry, Rennie, I am actually online.
Oh, okay, you look like Alyssa. Sorry. Any questions for the chief here? Tony Davis.
Again, Ren, I'm not hearing you. What was that figure? I'm sorry. I don't have my paperwork in front of me.
It's $157,417 for 3 retirement buyouts.
3 retirees?
Yeah, one of them is Mike Bonds.
Okay.
Somehow found a job he likes better than KPD. I don't understand it.
Yeah, so we had Sergeant Kirk Strand, he retired, Deputy Chief Mike Bonds, and then we had Officer Savino Citroniti leave for the city of Middletown. You can see I'm asking for 78,417 out of contingency. The remaining amount I'll take out of the general 101 budget as well as the longevity.
So how much is coming out of contingent?
$78,417.
Thank you.
So is that then the financial impact?
That is correct. The financial impact would be 78,417 coming out of the contingency. Correct. Yep.
So not the 157?
Well, I'm just transferring internally the remaining amount into the retirement account. I was able, since we have 6 current open vacancies that we're hoping to fill at this next commission meeting through some interviews. And I sat with John Toohey, we calculated that because we're void of those positions from January essentially till March, we're able to move some of that 101 money into the retirement.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because it's not specifically on the committee report, so, but we've got the modification sheet attached, so that'll work out fine. All right.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? Michelle?
Is the chief, deputy chief's position also part of that interview process coming up?
It is not. Currently, we're looking, there has to be a testing procedure and qualifications set up. Currently, last meeting, they were able to promote a sergeant to lieutenant, administrative lieutenant, to assist with the duties that the deputy chief were doing in the past. So we are going to be at some point promoting to deputy chief, but it'll be in the far future, unfortunately, because we have to get through the testing procedure first.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
If there are no more questions, then a motion to discuss. Mike Olivieri, second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Yep.
Chief, I just want to say again, thank you, and congratulate these guys for us, please.
Absolutely, Mike. Thank you so much, really. We always appreciate the support.
Yeah, we all second that.
Thank you.
Okay. Then if there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? We will send them off with some gifts to go.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Chief. All right. Next item is an internal, well, actually, this is a retirement accumulation also in building safety. It looks like it's an internal transfer, so it says
Zero financial.
yeah. Okay. All right, so the next item is budget transfer for building safety from Steve Knox. It's for one retirement accumulation, transfer staff member retirement, transfer from regular pay, $5,950.55 to retirement accumulation. And so since that's an internal transfer, there will be no financial impact. Do you have a motion to discuss? Mike Olivieri, second by Michelle Hirsch. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, the next one is also an internal transfer. This is in the Department of Parks and Recreation. Because it's internal, there is no financial impact. Do you have a motion to discuss? Mike Olivieri, second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The year-end internal budget transfer of $50,345 to reconcile department accounts is how the report reads. And there were no objections. All right. Next, we have two items, two budget transfers for grants in Ruth Ann's department. Ruth Ann, you want to tell us what the first one is about?
We have one for the DRI Stockade Business District Small Grants Program, and the total grant was $600,000. The amount that we're transferring for 2023 is for expenses we expect to occur this year. The difference was for expenses incurred in 2022. So it is also a zero impact transfer. Would you like to ask questions about that, or should I go ahead and describe the second one?
Yeah, go ahead and describe the second one, and we'll see if there are questions.
Okay, the second one is for the lead service line replacement program. We have one we have enough funding remaining on this grant to do one more replacement. So we're looking to close that out in 2023. So we're just transferring those remaining funds, and that's also a zero impact transfer.
Great. Tony Davis?
Ruth Ann, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. The first one was for a DRI.
Yes, that's for the Stockade District Small Business Grants Program. There were 3 components for that one: the micro enterprise, business facades, and residential facades. So we're conducting the final 2 programs. We're about to launch in 2023.
And then what was the second one?
The second transfer was the lead service line replacement program.
Lead service.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, so the first one then is a request to transfer DRI Stockade Business District Small Grants Program funds in the amount of $564,252.37 from New York State grant to contracted services. No local match is required. The estimated financial impact is 0. Do we have a motion to discuss? Steve Shabbat. Michelle Hirsch seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're missing one committee report.
Did you get the blank ones from the jury room?
No, it's a signed one.
It's in a file.
It's going around.
Oh.
My audio cut out for a second. Did you have something else you needed from me?
That was just procedural stuff. that we were
Okay.
just talking about.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Ruthann. Ah. Thanks. Steve and Michelle Fun. There you go. All right, so the second item from Grants Management is request to transfer lead service line replacement program funds in the amount of $14,925.11 from New York State grant to contracted services. No local match is required, so the estimated financial impact is $0. Do we have a motion to discuss?
Motion.
Michelle Hirsch, second. Michael Vieri. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Joe, thank you. All right. The next item, 3 budget transfers for DPW. All 3 are 0 financial impact, if I read them correctly.
Well, no, actually, there's 2 that are, good evening, everyone.
Good.
There are 2 that are internal transfers. One is a contingency transfer.
All of these say 0.
Yeah,
Oh, I see, that's.
yeah, if you read it at the top,
Yeah, yeah.
it's, it says contingency. I was hoping to get both of John to get that change.
I think, is that John there? Can we just change it there?
I can just change, I just
Yeah.
changed it. Power of the pen. All right. Is there anything that we need to know about the first 2?
The internal transfers are basically carrying over, one is for carrying over from 2022 year end, just filling some shortfalls in other accounts. One is for we got some insurance monies that we're moving around to put back into accounts. Insurance recoveries. One was for a street light knockdown, so we got the insurance recovery for the street light. One was for a vehicle that burned up on us last year. That was a new vehicle, so we got money back from insurance on that. So putting that back into the budget. The other one, the contingency one, is for a retirement for one of our employees. And also from 2022, we're moving some auction money that we had gained from auctions of equipment. And we're rolling that over from 2022 to 2023. Back in our, who's leaving? Juan Garcia, one of our laborers, design shop.
Everyone else, thank him for.
Sure. How long was he there? Long time, 20 plus years.
What happened to that vehicle?
That wound up being a manufacturing defect. So what I did with that, it was the value of the vehicle it was insured for was 74,000 and change. I negotiated a buyback price from the insurance company of $12,000 because it had $28,000 worth of equipment on it that was undamaged in the fire. So I got for $12,000, I got that 28. I'm taking that material, buying another cab and chassis with the remainder, which was 64,000 or whatever, or 62,000. And then swapping everything onto a new cab and chassis to replace that vehicle. And then at the end, I would probably almost make up that $12,000 by putting the remainder of the vehicle on auction. So hopefully it'll be a wash.
Very nice. All right, do I have a motion to consider the 2-0 financial impact items
Motion.
as one?
Motion.
Motion Michelle, second by Steve Shattuck. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So the first one reads, general fund, public works, internal transfer of $69,856 as per attached detail. Transfers to move funds from insurance recovery revenue into operating accounts. The other one says internal transfer of $50,011 per attached detail. Transfers to cover shortfalls in accounts for year ending 2022. Do a motion to discuss? Michael Olivieri, second. Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? If not, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion, those two carry unanimously. Third item reads contingency transfer of $32,172 from contingency as per attached, transfers to move funds from DPW auction revenue into operating accounts and also cover costs of retirement payout. So estimated financial impact, $32,172. Do I have a motion to discuss? Michael Olivieri, second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Tony Davis?
Again, and I'm speaking to Mike, so I apologize, I'm not there, but again, it's 32,000 plus for coming out of contingency.
Yeah.
And if I heard Ed right, we're using some money from the insurance to offset, and we're going to pick up another vehicle. Is that what we're doing?
Not from this particular one. This one is for retirement for one of our employees. And also we're moving from contingency from last year into this year's budget, auction revenues that we had gotten last year, 2022, for some vehicles and equipment that was sold at auction. So
Okay.
we're putting that back in our operating budget so that we can then, again, buy more equipment, snow plows or sanders, whatever we need.
All right. So if I got this correct, we're borrowing 32,000 from contingency really to cover retirement.
Yes.
All right.
And actually, the retirement part of it is 17,000.
All right. Oh, so any discussion on that one? If not, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thanks, Ed. Okay. Next up is John Schulteis regarding a project primarily along Clinton Avenue from Albany Avenue to John Street. Parts are completed, but we're looking for finishing. Tell us about it, Bill.
Yeah, this is part of the city's DRI. So it's the subset DRI transportation, which was focused on Clinton Avenue and Schwenk Drive. So as part of this, we're going to be upgrading the traffic signal at Clinton at Albany. We're also looking to install a new traffic signal at the corner at Westbrook, John, and Clinton, and a streetscape project basically in between those two signals that would be similar to what we completed on some of our other streetscapes. So new curbs, new sidewalks, paving, marking, lighting. This particular grant from the Department of State has no local match. However, due to the size of this construction project, in consultation with the comptroller, we're asking for authorization for bonding to cover the city's costs while we await reimbursements. Sometimes the reimbursements take some time. You have to pay all the vendors and then wait for the reimbursement. So this is a request for $1.5 million in bonding for this streetscape project.
All right, any questions for John? Michelle Hirsch?
Hi, John, thank you for being here. The total project cost, when did this come in, like the design, how long ago?
We're actually, well, the design is, I would say, 90% done. We're adding in the last details that would let us have the cost estimate. Of course, this is an estimate and we have to bid the work in a competitive bid. Any project, bigger than, I think, $35,000 has to be competitively bid. So we don't have that, but the $2.375 million is the grant award, and it's expected the grant will pay all the costs on a reimbursement basis.
Okay, yeah, so I was just concerned about the timing and making sure that, costs don't go up and, getting it done so that we come in at that number.
Yeah, we think we have one chance basically to bid this year and still get it built. Whenever we do a bid, there's no requirement to award it if the bids come in too high or in a rare case, maybe no bids, but if the project exceeds the budget, then, we will either not award it or we would come back to you for supplemental funding, which would then be a separate matter. But we're going forward with the expectation that the $2.375 million grant is sufficient to pay all the costs.
Thank you.
Other questions? Tony Davis?
So John, what is the time frame from, well, obviously now we have to wait into it's here and then we have to wait into March. From March, if it's passed through council, how long? What is this time frame then? Explain the time frame. What goes next? We got to go out for bid.
So once the designs are complete and approved by all departments, which we're nearly there, the competitive bidding period is a minimum of 3 weeks. That it's advertised and bidders can obtain the plans, and then we do a bid opening. For this project, we're looking into likely April to be opening bids, and then to actually identify the low bidder, check them out, and get the insurance bond and everything takes a couple of weeks usually. So that could result in us, awarding the project in April and starting construction sometime in May.
I'm just echoing what Alderwoman Hirsch is, and we've seen this before of, we approve something and then it comes back towards that we have to then give more money on this. And I'm trying to avoid, I think we're all trying to avoid any of that going forward. So
right.
I guess I'll be monitoring this just to see where this is at. Thank you.
Any other questions? No more questions. I'll ask for a motion to discuss. Steve Shabbat,
Second.
Michelle Hirsch, discussion.
I guess the only question I would have would be for John Tui, a rate, I guess, on the bonding.
Is he here?
Yeah.
So it's not him?
No,
Oh,
he's under the weather.
Yeah.
Oh, he said he was gonna call him.
He sent an email saying
Oh, gosh, I didn't see it.
that the road didn't go to the place he thought it would.
Oh. I assume that.
Yeah, so we won't have to actually, we will only have to have we only bond generally once a year. So we would get the authorization to bond, where if we do need to bond, it would be a bond anticipation note, which is a short-term bond. And those rates are really reasonable for us because of our good bond rating. And again, it will really only depend on how long it takes for the state to reimburse us. This is really just in case situation. We really most likely will not have to use this bond at all. So there won't be any rate charged.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We like to move it.
All right, if there's no more discussion, then questions, call for the vote, all in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, the measure reads, a request for bonding in the amount of $1,500,000 for the Uptown DRI Transportation Project, with the amount to be borrowed to be reduced by available grant funds. Total project cost is estimated at $2,335,000. With estimated grant reimbursements estimated at $2,375,000. I'm not sure what the financial impact should be.
I thought it was 1.5 million.
Well, it is, but if we don't actually use the money, then it's zero.
No, I didn't hear that figure. I thought I just heard 2 million.
We still have to put that down and then it would just be reimbursed. I think we still have to.
Okay. Better to have that. All right. And Bartek, you withdrew the Delaware Avenue item, yes? Is that the right one?
That's correct.
Okay. The next item then is the Birchwood Village pilot.
Yeah, I guess I'll start and then I'll pass it off to the team here. Just to kind of set the stage, and then I'll let the folks from Beacon Communities and Dan kind of describe the pilot a little bit more in detail. But we have been working with Beacon Communities for a little while now. They recently were able to acquire what has been known as Birchwood Village, which is on Flatbush Avenue, next to Stuyvesant Charter, which has been before us recently as well. It's a multifamily affordable housing complex of about 80 units. Back in 2015, the city of Kingston signed on to a pilot agreement with the previous owner, so just before my time here. And with Beacon coming in and having some new ownership, the units are in need of work to be able to modernize and create some more efficient units and better quality units. And as Jen will talk about in a minute, one of the buildings in particular is in total disarray, maybe would be a nice way to put it, and needs substantial work. And there's some pictures in your packet about that building. So, this is something that, I feel, is a really a great opportunity to reinvest in this housing stock. We want to be able to keep affordable housing. We want to have it be good quality housing, and being able to have a company that can come in and make these improvements, and we think it'll benefit our residents. And I think that, being able to have this discussion with you is a really great start. And so that's really me teeing this up. Dan and Jen have been negotiating, this pilot agreement. I feel like in general, my personal thoughts are that, this is we've come to a good place to be able to get this to where it is, and, look forward to hearing the feedback from the council on this. And, that's all I have, and I'll let Dan answer any more of the specific questions about the pilot. And Jen, I don't know if there's anything that you want to talk about in terms of just the overview of the project that maybe I missed, or things that you want to say in particular about the project before we talk about the pilot.
No, I think you did an amazing job. I couldn't have sold it better myself. Thank you so much. I have a very short presentation just to show folks a little bit more about Beacon, show those pictures on the screen that you discussed about building 1 at Birchwood Village and the condition that we found it. So I'm happy to kind of go through that quickly and then turn it back over to Dan and answer any questions if that works for everybody else.
Yes.
Okay, great. Great. All right. Make sure I could share my screen. I don't have participant screen sharing. I don't know if anyone could give me that.
Yes, just give me one moment.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're all set.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So right here we have the Birchwood Village Pilot Amendment. I wanted to just introduce Beacon a little bit differently to give us a little time to talk about our experience and give you a little sense of the company that we are, so we're able to come back in. For a mission-driven for-profit, we have over 18,000 units under management and ownership throughout the country, and have been doing this for over 40 years. So we really bring a lot of attention to detail to our projects, a lot of heart to it, and really know how to turn properties around. We do development, management, and service provision. So we're really a one-stop shop in that regard. You could see here our New York State portfolio. Of course, we have Kingston over here on the map, but we have over 2,300 units in ownership, management, and pre-development. As Mayor discussed, we're talking here about Birchwood Village at 161 Colonial Drive. Beacon purchased this property as part of a 5-property portfolio back in March of 2022. And I just want to give a little bit more color for what the mayor was describing in terms of the affordability we're able to preserve, what we found, and what we're planning on doing. So we have 80 units of existing affordable housing, 44 2-bedrooms and 36 3-bedrooms. These are really family units that are available. All units are for families under 60% AMI, which for this area is under $57,600 for a family of 4. We're able to reduce the rent burden by adding 32 project-based vouchers to the project, which is a really amazing thing that we were able to give both for the people and the project to come in. And we are committed to extending that affordability for another 30 years. These were the conditions that we found specifically in Building 1 that was a surprise to anybody. There was some structural damage in addition to the typical water damage, and this is certainly not what we have expected to find. Fortunately, it's unsafe at the moment, and so we're really looking forward to doing our rehab to make sure that we could get this habitable again. A little description of the rehab that we're proposing. I won't go through it all in detail. Happy to take any questions, but we are planning on doing new kitchens, bathrooms, roof replacement, doors, windows if they are damaged, new mailboxes, in terms of making sure we have working boilers that are high efficiency and condensing boilers, and making sure that the tenants can have thermostats in their own unit to control that heat. And equally importantly, making sure that everything here is going to be ADA accessible by making sure that 5% of the units are renovated and the site accessibility and parking is up to code. So it's a little bit about what we're doing, what we have, and how important it is to really preserve this affordable housing for the community. And I'll talk a little bit about the pilot and then kind of turn it over to Dan and any questions that you have. So right now, as a reminder, this is an amendment to the existing pilot that was entered into in July 2015. Right now, it was $38,000 a year or $475 a unit, and it does increase at 2% annually. What we're proposing is much more in line with current pilots in the city of Kingston, and it's an over 110% increase from the current pilot. We're proposing $1,000 a unit that will increase at 2% a year, in addition to a community impact fee of $200 a unit or $16,000 a year that will go directly to the city of Kingston. And we're going to keep this agreement through 2052. And that's it. So I'm happy to stop sharing now. I just wanted to give you kind of a little bit about who we are, what we're planning on doing, and tell you a little bit more about the project. So I'm happy to turn it over to Dan or answer any questions that you have.
Any questions, Tony Davis?
I believe it showed there 32 project-based Section 9 vouchers. Do they go with the tenant or are they just for Birchwood?
The 32 Section 8 vouchers are part of a HAP contract that just goes with the project. They're not tenant-based vouchers. There are tenant-based vouchers at the project that go through and stick with the tenant, but we can't control that at all. So this is an addition to make sure that 32 vouchers will be on hand for anybody who comes in that needs it.
Thank you.
Steve Chavez?
Yeah. Thanks, Jennifer. Do you have any, I'm sure you must have, plans for the outside amenities, green areas, things like that?
Absolutely. So we have a landscape architect as part of our team who's going to be updating the landscape. We have a power washing that we need, unfortunately, a good clean does go a long way. So a little bit of that will help. The windows will certainly add that element of kind of cleanliness and uniformity once we clean those broken windows. We're repairing the roofs, as I mentioned. That some of that ADA work that I talked about, the site work and all of that will make that even throughout the sidewalk. So it really does affect the look of the whole property in addition to doing whatever landscaping that we are able. Also on the outside, there is a defunct playground, and we are going to both make that ADA accessible and going to upgrade that playground for the families that live there. There is, and I should mention, I know you were focused on the outside, but there is a community space inside as part of building one, and we look forward to upgrading that space as well.
How many units are currently occupied?
Right now, there are 72 units currently occupied. The only vacant units are in the building that we had to vacate because of the unsafe condition that we showed the pictures of.
And have you been in communication with the Kingston Housing Authority in any coordination here with them in terms of potential construction and noise and all that?
We will certainly, before we talk, before we start construction, would be in communication with the Housing Authority. We have spoken with them before, and as you probably know, on the adjacent site to Birchwood Village, there is some work and renovation being done as well. So we do look forward to coordinating with the housing authority there.
Andrew Shaw?
Hi, Jen. When you are doing the renovations, are the residents going to be displaced? Like, what's the plan for that?
Of course, these are tenant in place renovations, which Beacon has a lot of familiarity with. So it takes a lot of hard work on the part of the management to make sure that everybody is comfortable. And it takes a lot of hard work on behalf of our team to make sure that everybody has proper notification going into it. We made sure to work with a contractor that does a lot of tenant in place work before, so they know how to handle things. There are certain standards in terms of tenant in place renovation that we always want to meet. So we always want to have water on by the end of the day. You know, if we're fixing their tub or fixing their sink, we have a commitment that they have to have at least one sink working by the end of the day. They have, you know, we have dust control measures that will be in place to make sure that it is a safe environment for everybody in it. And during the day, what we usually have is a hospitality unit or area that we could have tenants go if it's uncomfortable in their apartment and there are people that are typically there. So that could be a vacant unit. That could be the community room that is going to be spruced up. And we would have kind of Wi-Fi at that site, TV, phone, place to charge your phone, hopefully some snacks, that sort of thing.
And do you have a waiting list already for the, I think it's 8 spots or 8 homes?
We do. Yeah. We have a waiting list. The 2 bedrooms are exactly 35 people on that wait list. The 3 bedrooms are approximately that number. What our management on site says is that they tell people it's approximately a year to a year and a half wait to get into those apartments.
Oh, thank you.
Mike?
So if you did a pilot in 2015. So what has actually happened for the last 7+ years on site?
So unfortunately, I can't answer that question directly. Beacon took ownership in March of 2022. The former pilot was enacted under the prior owner. But I could tell you in the last year or so, we have been doing a lot of work, one, to make sure that we don't have people in unsafe conditions, and we're taking care of things. We have been kind of slowly upgrading conditions that have been untenable for those tenants. We've been trying to make sure that we have at least some, we call them resident coordinators, who are part of our main office, come visit the site, and really, you know, making sure that our new management can respond quickly and readily to repairs going on at the properties.
Thank you.
Gotcha. Other questions?
Tony
Davis?
Jen, yes, this is in my ward over in Ward 6. So I've had constituents over there reach out to me and expressing, and you answer that question about improving the playground area, improving the community room. And so that's great to hear that. Have you had discussions with the tenants? Had they been involved? Have you shown them what the new units are going to look like?
Thank you for that question. So to date, we have been communicating with our management and telling them, you know, here's what's coming, here's the idea. But as we get closer, what we like to do is have many more regular meetings. What we've had the management announce that it's coming, announce that there will be plans. And what we like to do as a company is kind of, as we go a little closer, make sure everybody has direct access to me, who will be working much more closely with the renovations, perhaps our architect who will come visit, and have more regular meetings so they could ask us any questions that they have directly, and they could kind of see what's going on, because we are very, very aware that we are going into people's homes. And the question that we had about tenant in place renovations, nobody likes that. Nobody likes that part of the process. They love the end. They love where they're going, but we are very aware that this is an inconvenience for them during that time. And it's really important for us to be communicating with them about what's happening, because, you know, we're going to be going into their homes, and we try to be as respectful as possible, and be as understanding as possible about what that feels like.
Yeah, I would say, if I would make a suggestion, that the sooner the better, and because, you know, you get the rumor mill going, and then that can have a negative effect. And so if management can reach out and as soon as possible to have some more in-depth conversations with and the tenants there, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Other questions? All right, Dan, do you have anything specific to say in public?
Just to reiterate that, you know, this, the Beacon is now the new owner of this facility, that this is a, for lack of better words, a reorganization and of this existing pilot to amend the payment schedule. I think it's important to know that we see the demand out there for housing, and we have 8 units that are offline. And I think that's important to get them on, and this is a vehicle for Beacon to be able to do that. You know, to Michael's question, that what was happening there, you know, we now know what was happening there. Those units were being occupied, and we're hoping to be able to support Beacon to do that. And at the same time, Beacon has approached us to say, you know, we understand where these payments were. We want to get them back in line as to where they should be. And you know that for that pilot payment, it's going from $475 a door to $1,000 a door plus increases. We will also be receiving over time a community impact fee to help us with, you know, maybe some of those sewer needs that are going to be over there. And this, you know, falls in line with what we see from other similar type of housing redevelopments. And the impact to the city is that we would be receiving monies that are equivalent to 581A. And the overall impact is, over the remaining life of the pilot, is just over $1 million more receipts to the city. So big picture, I think this is something that really falls in line with a lot of the things we've always talked about when we're looking to be able to support payment of the tax agreement that is in line with the housing wants and needs of the city. So.
Michelle Hirsch?
When was the 2015 pilot due to end?
2053.
2053, and this one, I forgot.
Same date, 2053.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going through 2052.
Yes, it'll go to roll year 2053 with payments in calendar year 2054.
Good, yes. As we all know, and as Dan already said, I mean, we are really in need of facilities like this. I mean, we really need the housing here. You've heard me say a million times since I've been here on the council, I'm not really a gambling man. I don't see this as much of a gamble. No guarantees, but you know, hopefully they will follow through on all these good plans. I mean, it sounds good to get people in there at an improved facility. You know, I mean, I can't even believe it looks like the pictures we just saw. I mean, that's incredible, you know, so, you know, hopefully we get this back on track. I'm sure we'll get it filled up if it's fixed up nice. I mean, you know, I would be in favor of this.
Tony Davis?
Yes, and as I stated before, with most of the affordable housing in Ward 6 and exclusively over in this area in my ward, I'm going to be all in favor of this. The former pilot was going to go through 2052 with the former owners, and this pilot is not extending anymore. And as Dan has stated, and what we see there, and we're getting more increases in this pilot. And with all talk about housing shortage, we need to get this as we talked about with Stuyvesant, we need to improve these housings for these people that are living there so they feel part of the community and that they feel good about themselves, that they have a good apartment home to go to. And on top of that, they're going to renovate these units that are been, as we've seen the pictures, are deteriorating, which that's taking housing off the market. So, and obviously I'm going to be a yes for this. And so, again, we can improve the quality of life for those tenants there, and that we can also increase some more housing and get it back on the market, back out there for more people to be able to find a place to live. Thank you.
I have another question for you, Jen. The 8 units that are not occupied right now, are they going to be renovated first? Is that like earlier in the plan so we could get more housing sooner? Obviously they have more renovations than the others, but is that the plan?
I wish I could say unequivocally yes. We'd love to do that, and we would love to do that because of the nature of the structural repairs, that it really does goes down deep in a different way than those other units. It could actually require more work. And so we need to make sure we work with the contractors to understand their means and methods to make sure that those are going to be done, as quickly and as safely as possible. I can't promise right now that they will be done first, but of course our priority is to get them back online as quickly as possible. And so we certainly share that and are going to work towards that.
All right, that's good enough for me. I just wanted to express, I think all of us would agree that we want to get those more housing stock available. So thank you.
Steve?
And just one more thing. Yeah. I think our options, unless I'm missing something, our options are somewhat limited on residences in this kind of condition. I think we're fortunate that somebody has shown some interest in improving this area. Given the state of, from the pictures we've seen, I can't imagine there's a long line of people that want to come in and take on a project like this. So, I think we'd be well served to take this on.
Michelle?
Yeah, I would like to echo what everyone is saying, especially the fact that, there aren't many places in the city of Kingston that offer 36 3-bedrooms within their facility. And that's really, needed. So to have those improved upon is really wonderful. Thank you.
One member would like to go into executive session to ask some questions. So, Dan Baker?
Yeah.
So, I can entertain a motion to go into executive session to consider, would this be leasing property or?
We're not talking about a lease, so if the goal is to talk about some of the financial issues related to the prior corporation that was involved in the earlier pilot agreement, then you can make a motion to discuss that and discuss how that impacts the transactions that's being contemplated.
Okay. How about translating that to a quick and pithy?
Well, I mean, the question is really what you're going to be talking about. And it sounds like there were some outstanding questions about the earlier corporation with which the pilot was executed back in 2015. And if those are the questions you're talking about, that's a proper subject for executive session.
Okay. So can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss comparison of this pilot agreement with previous one from a different corporation? Motion from Tony Davis, second from Michael Livieri. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so let's see.
Tony, you wanna just call me? I'll put you on speaker.
Yep.
Tony, we can't hear you.
Tony, just call me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait for everybody to get off before.
I just want to invite, make sure that everyone understands we're inviting the mayor to stay as well. Okay.
I'm so sorry. Can someone tell me what I should be doing
We're
right
going
now?
into executive session, so if you could just hang tight, I'm gonna turn off our camera and microphone, and we'll be back.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
To attend an executive session. Regarding matter.
Uh, So all in favor of coming out of executive session? Okay, anyone opposed? All right, so we are going to go into attorney-client session at this point in order to discuss issues with our attorney. So we will be turning off all of our media.
We'll be back.
So Jane, just hang on again.
Welcome back, everyone. Is it wake up? So the committee report reads, authorizes the mayor to execute the proposed Birchwood Village revised pilot agreement as outlined in the attached documents. The council requests the final pilot agreement require biannual reporting for approximately the first 2 years and annual thereafter to include reporting on progress of renovation and other such pertinent information. So Dan, you're clear on what the various points were. That's enough for you. Okay. All right. Do you have a motion to discuss? Second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously here. Thank you very much, Jen. We appreciate all that you've told us tonight. We appreciate the work Beacon's doing. We look forward to a successful project at Birchwood Village.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it and look forward to a great partnership with the city. Thank you.
And thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Appreciate all that.
Jen, if you could pass your, Dan, at some point I can get her contact information so I can maybe reach out to her since these are my constituents and stay a little closer in touch. Thank you.
We'll do that. Yep.
Okay, we're halfway through.
7 minute stretch.
Do you want one really? No? No? Okay, all right. The next item, this is a little confusing. Okay, we're up to the, COVID pay for union employees. And I believe Mayor, you're gonna tell us about this one also?
So, hand up there.
Tony Davis?
I'm just running, did we skip 10, item number 10?
There was one we skipped because it was withdrawn, the one about Delaware Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So I've got 2 resolutions here, both related to COVID pay. So just to kind of set the stage for this, you remember back to the end of 2020.
I'm sorry, Steve, you're talking about all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recuse myself because if you're gonna talk about management and my relationship with the superintendent.
Okay.
I'm gonna recuse myself. Sorry. Yes.
So back before 2000, at the end of 2021, we had just adopted the plan for ARPA, so called the Kingston Economic Recovery Plan. In that plan, we set aside $300,000 to be used as premium pay, which is basically kind of COVID pay. People were calling it locally or pandemic pay. As we all know, our workers here in city government came to work, during the pandemic, worked to be able to make sure that city government operated at all different levels and branches. And so from that period of time where there was a declared emergency, which for us was March of 2020 through June, July, I think of 2021, we set that was kind of our baseline for coming up with this memorandum of agreement between all 3 of our unions, which then, based on our management confidential handbook, then also affects management. We wanted to be able to get this money into the hands of workers. We wanted to be able to negotiate with the unions to be able to come up with what was a fair amount based on the money we had for the pay. And we felt like $3,000 for a full-time employee was fair. We looked around at what other communities were doing, including Ulster County. And we felt they were a little bit higher, other communities were less than ours. We felt that $3,000 was a fair amount for folks working during a time when there were no vaccines and no one really knew what COVID even was or really even how to protect themselves to the fullest ability. And so with this negotiation, we came up with a couple of different key benchmarks. So you needed to be able to work, if you're a full-time employee, you had to work through a certain number of payrolls to be able to get the full amount. It's laid out in the MOA. If you work less than that, you receive half of the allocation of funds. If you worked even less than that, then you just didn't receive anything. And we did that same thing for part-timers too. So we included both full-time and part-time workers. All three unions have agreed and approved upon our plan. They all also thought it was very fair and covered a majority of our workforce that worked during that time frame. And so today, I'm here actually requesting both your agreement to those MOAs, which are attached to the committee report, and then also a budgetary transfer. So as we know, we already had $300,000 set aside in our plan. And so that leaves additional funds that would need to come out of our contingency, or at this point, it's really our fund balance. So that would be a total of, for our regular employees, just over $342,670. And then from the sewer fund, there's also an allocated amount. And then we did the same thing for management. And so that is the overall, presentation. If anyone has any specific questions, I'm happy to help answer.
So pretty much this is based on time, right? Nothing was weighted according to job duties or anything like that.
Correct. We opened it up to all employees, and it was just based on how many payrolls they appeared on between March 13th and July 2nd to be able to receive the benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tony Davis?
Mayor, I just got a food because I couldn't hear you. You said it's 3,000 for full time, depending on how many things that. What was the parameter for part time?
Yeah, so that started at $1,500 if you worked, and so all of those are the full amounts. And so if you were on 75 to 100% of the payrolls during that, basically it was 35 payroll periods. You then were able to get the full amount. And then if you worked from 40% of the payrolls to 74.99% of the payrolls, you then got half of an amount. And then anything below 40% where they appeared before, less than 14 payrolls. And we all agreed that those wouldn't get any benefit from this.
Alrighty. Now the dollar figure, because again, that you're looking for in this is, I heard like 342,000+.
Yes.
Times two.
So there's 342,000, which will cover from the general fund for CSEA, PBA, and KPFFA. We'll need 45,000 and change from the sewer fund. And then there is another separate resolution that requests about $74,000-ish for management, who would receive the same and also be held to the same standards as all of the regular PBA members and CSEA and KPFFA, and they would also receive the same amount of money in the proposal.
And where will that come from?
That also will have to come from the fund balance as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I just have some clarifying questions. So originally I thought that it was to be like the ARPA money was to be for frontline workers. So is it that we're deciding to expand that to include all employees?
Yes, the ARPA funds, the definition for frontline employees, is, not, inclusive of all employees in city government. And it, there are some that don't qualify, but that we felt, are frontline workers. And so it really became we could use depending on how you looked at, the funding, public works, employee that works on a, say, refuse truck could qualify, but the dispatcher that works back in the office may not. And we felt like those were really unfair, lines to draw within our city workforce. And so we felt that it was, the best thing to do is to do it for all employees. And then, but we still had enough employees that are frontline workers that we were able to use all $300,000 of ARPA funds to be able to legally draw down that money for ARPA folks. So mostly in police and fire. It's the CSEA union where most would not qualify under ARPA rules. Police and fire generally all qualified under ARPA. Yeah.
And then we did have people, so even people that were working from home would still then?
Yes.
Okay. I know Ulster County did not pay any bonuses to employees that worked from home.
Our employees here generally didn't work from home for as long, and many rotated because our offices, we wanted to kind of give everyone, for those that could work from home, they kind of rotated opportunities. But because of the work and nature of our business here in city government, most employees ended up having to come in. We had very few that were kind of permanent at-home workers through the pandemic.
Did DPW qualify as frontline since they were like out like touching garbage and?
Not all,
refuse?
most
Okay.
did not, based on the definition of where they have it in ARPA. It's which is in their final rule, everyone wants to see, but it's it was not straightforward. Not enough for John and the auditors to feel comfortable doing it that way.
No question.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to take these one at a time. In fact, you have 3 here. So the first one, this is from the mayor. I respectfully request common council approval of the January 9, 2023 memorandum of agreement, MOA attached between the city of Kingston and the CSEA, KPFFA, and KPBA bargaining units regarding a one-time premium payment to employees who worked during the COVID-19 pandemic to fund the MOA, a 2023 budget transfer totaling $687,883.50. That's apportioned general fund, $642,670.50. Sewer fund, $45,213 is being requested. Of the total amount, $300,000 is to be funded through the city's American Rescue Plan grant allocation, with the balance to be withdrawn from fund balance, and the general fund at $342,670.50, and sewer fund $45,213. So the estimated financial impact to us is $387,883.50. Motion to discuss? Mike Olivieri, second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Yes.
I just want to say thank you. This was my first real interaction with you when it came to these things. And as Michelle touched on a little bit earlier, as a county worker during the time, we kind of got screwed over by that. So the everything that you did for the employees, from my standpoint, I'm very appreciative because I know what my coworkers had to deal with being in tight confined buses with a lot of people during COVID, and to be told, sorry, you don't qualify. It was very upsetting, and then the opposite for what you did. So Julie, thank you for this.
I greatly appreciate, all of our employees and, to give them a bonus, to everyone is, very generous. Given that the private sector does not, necessarily always get bonuses. But everyone worked really hard. So thank you.
Great. Anything else? All right, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. The second one, again from the mayor, request approval of a one-time premium payment to management employees who worked during the COVID-19 pandemic and were not covered under a union contract. Each individual's eligibility for such payment would be identical to the conditions outlined in the January 9, 2023 Memorandum of Agreement, MOA attached, between the City of Kingston and the CSEA, KPFFA, and KPBA bargaining units. To fund this request, a 2023 budgetary transfer totaling $75,893.25 is to be withdrawn from fund balance. This does not include the mayor or common council members. We strike out that last part. Just kidding. So the estimated financial impact would be $75,893.25. Motion to discuss. Mike Lavieri, second by Michelle Hirsch. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. And the last one regards a particular individual. This is from the comptroller, whereby I, meaning the comptroller, have been delegated with the responsibility of negotiating the inclusion of the environmental education and sustainability coordinator position with respect to providing premium pay for working during the COVID-19 pandemic. I respectfully request common council approval of the attached 2/1/23 Memorandum of Agreement between the City of Kingston and the CSEA Bargaining Unit 8951. To fund the MOA, the 2023 budgetary transfer totaling $3,229.50 is being requested. Of that amount, $3,229.50 is to be funded through the city's fund balance in the general fund. So estimated financial impact is $3,229.50. Motion to discuss, Steve Shabbat, second by Mike Olivieri. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Excellent. And now we've got two budget transfers for the comptroller. First one is item 15. Comptroller says, I am submitting the attached 2022 budgetary transfer totaling $113,783 to reconcile the sewer fund employee benefit accounts on a year-to-date basis. As part of this transfer, $33,415 is being returned to replenish the contingency account. So the report reads, request a 2022 budgetary transfer totaling $113,000. It's $113,783 to reconcile sewer fund employee benefit accounts on a year-to-date basis. As part of this transfer, $33,450 is being used to replenish the 2022 sewer fund contingency budget. So that's an estimated financial impact to the good of $33,415. Any questions? Yes.
Would it say 22 or 23?
No, 22. This is from last.
Yeah, so, okay.
Previous year. All right. All right, motion to discuss. Steve Shabbat, second by Mike Olivieri. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Measure passes unanimously. And then the last item of new business. I'm just going to read the report because it's virtually the same. A request of 2022 budgetary transfer totaling $1,087,000 to reconcile general fund employee benefit accounts on a year-to-date basis. As part of this transfer, $541,337 is being used to replenish the 2022 general fund contingency budget. Estimated financial impact is $541,337 to the good. Motion to discuss, Mike Olivieri, second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? In that case, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Measure passes unanimously. The last item is regarding, from whole business, is regarding the disposition policy. So a little history, I sent the collated issues, concerns that we'd come up with through the council to Bartek. Bartek has responded, but it was very close to the beginning of this meeting. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, but Bartek, if you would, give us your general sense here and what you were doing with the revised one that you submitted to us.
Yeah, I would say I did respond to each of those questions and concerns. So thank you for sending that collected list. I also sent a revised disposition policy. There are three main areas that were changed. Number one is that we added a purpose to the beginning of the policy to indicate, the intent of setting out a disposition policy. Secondly, we added language requiring that the city involve the common council and specifically the Finance and Audit Committee in developing an RFP, a request for proposals, that is with regards to any surplus property disposition, and also asking it would require the city request a member from the Finance and Audit Committee to actually serve on the Evaluation Committee. So I think, in the spirit of collaboration between, the city and the Common Council, I think that achieves that with regards to property dispositions when there's a request for proposals being created. And lastly, and this was a common theme in the questions, there's a statement that's been added to the policy that clearly states that, if this disposition policy passes, it does not change the Common Council's role in disposing of or conveying or selling any surplus property, meaning the Common Council will always be involved. And so there's a clear statement that's been added to the general provisions. So those are the three main areas of edits.
Great. Tony Davis?
Bartek, thanks for all the information and, getting it at the last second. And I did send you an email. I still have not, I did not see that. And I'm not sure if I'm looking somewhere else. And
I'm not sure. Maybe, you and I can connect offline maybe.
Okay.
And figure out a way.
Because I would love to be able to see
I'm
it.
not sure why it's not coming over to you.
Thank you.
Sometimes what happens is if somebody responded, it actually looks like the email is from that person as opposed to the original sender or something like that. So on your email list, Tony, it may not say, I don't know that anybody has responded. I'm just saying it could be under somebody else's name.
Yeah, I just opened it, it's at 4, Bartek sends it out at 4:16, Tony, and they're PDFs.
Yeah, I got it a minute before.
Yeah, I'll take a look, but I didn't see anything back. Maybe my phone's old.
Tony, I'll forward it.
All righty, thank you.
Yeah, Bartek was thorough in looking at all the things we raised and answering those. So I think given though that we only got it right before this meeting, that, I mean, I'm supposing that people would want time to look at this, digest, and then we would put it on for a vote at our next finance meeting.
I haven't had an opportunity to look at this.
Yeah, was it posted for open meeting?
Well, no, I
It
don't,
doesn't matter because it's revisions.
yeah. Yeah, and it's all business. Okay.
I would like a chance.
Yeah, and just, just to clarify, we received these comments on Monday, so it wasn't intentional to send along the revision right before this meeting.
No, we appreciate how fast you got it out. That's what we're trying to say.
Thank you.
It's a good thing.
Okay.
Could I ask, would it be possible to potentially have a special meeting at caucus? So that we aren't kind of going a hold? Because I know there are, as we said the last time, like Bartek are having people reaching out and, wanting to kind of start this process with properties. And if we're getting close to potentially, maybe that could be, I don't know how many
Yeah,
years.
so how about we touch base and then just check if everybody's comfortable with that, maybe 2 weeks, I'll call for it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add one point too? Because I know I've reached out a couple of times about, whether or not there are legal questions, and, no one's gotten back to me with questions, but some of the issues that I saw in email threads could be very easily dispelled. There were a number of misconceptions about state law, for example, that in 30 seconds in a conversation, I could easily have disabused anyone of misinformation about this policy violating state law, but I need to be able to know what those questions are so that we can have that conversation.
Did I not include you on the, I see that Bartek included you on the response.
So Bartek included me on the response, but what I'm saying is that months ago, I feel like, there was maybe some of these questions about what state law might be implicated or not, the kind of thing that, just a quick conversation, we could move things along. So if in that 2-week time period, if there are any questions that require some research or anything like that, I am available and I'm happy to talk to anyone who has those questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So can we just check in a couple weeks, see if everybody feels comfortable, and then I can let you know?
I should also probably send out an email to all council people and say, please read this sooner rather than later.
Yes. Tony, did you get it?
I got something. I'm still deciphering if somebody could just tell me when you open it up, is there several pages? How many?
There's 2 attachments.
If you look at resolution X, the second attachment, you'll see Bartek's responses in red. You gotta go down a couple pages to see the first one.
I think I have a different type of phone that doesn't get it. I'm sorry, but I'll have to get it some other way, because the only thing I'm seeing here, it looks like underneath Rennie's thing when he sent out suggestions and resolutions, is that not Bartek?
Yeah, it would be a PDF.
It'd be
Yeah,
he said-
Marcia, can you print that and then just have it at City Hall? Maybe Tony can swing by. We're not voting on it tonight, Tony, so.
Yeah, I know. I just want it, and I'm not sure if I'm seeing the right things here.
Can that be a solution, Bartek? Can we
I was
print
going to
that?
suggest that, Tony.
All righty, you'll just put it in my mailbox upstairs.
I'll
All righty,
connect
thank
with
you so much.
when it's in. Thank you.
Yeah.
Randy, don't forget to, the council sent back the resolution on the procurement policy.
Bartek, I think I got it.
They said there's only one other thing on the agenda.
Looks
but-
like in bold.
Yeah, that's not officially on the agenda, but
Looks like it's 10 pages,
It automatically goes back when it's tabled.
and then the other one's like 6 pages.
yeah, there should be red writing in it,
All right.
red text, I mean.
So yeah, if you could just put that in my mailbox, but I think I got it, but just to double check and double it, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So Michelle, do you have more to say about the issue regarding the procurement policy?
Yeah, so I just had a couple more questions. I just didn't feel like I had time to digest it all. We had a compressed time period between this evening, sort of like this week. So, I know that sorry, let me just grab this. So the revision includes, language for professional services. And it added the clause about the general municipal law. And so I just had some questions. So if we were already adhering to the general municipal law, but we put this in, I just wonder why we added it.
So I don't have the specific page reference, but if you're talking, are you talking about legal services?
The pursuant to general, no, professional services. So yeah, when procuring the services of accountants, lawyers, engineers, or any other profession that requires licensing, specialized skills and training, expertise, judgment, discretion, or relationship of personal trust or confidence, or a high degree of creativity in the performance of the services as defined in the New York State case law or opinions of the New York State Controller. Do you want me to keep reading or?
No.
Okay, you know what, yeah.
So what's the question?
So we added language that pursuant to the general municipal law, there are circumstances when types of procurement for which is the sole discretion of the city, the solicitation of alternative proposals or quotations for services will not be in the best interest of the city, and the nature of the services is such that they do not readily lend themselves to competitive procurement procedures. So my questions are like, who makes that decision of it not falling under a regular?
So I think, well, it's a multi-answer question, so let me just go Now we'll focus only on legal services. So the easy answer is me, because well, that's the easy answer. So the full and complete answer, so that if you look at the actual policy, it's working in collaboration with, for example, John Toohey and the mayor, or Dan Baker and the mayor, for the types of specialized services that, for example, the bond counsel or outside tax counsel, or figuring out whether there needs to be some coordination for highly specialized legal services. But I'm saying me because that puts us back to the charter and the role of the corporation counsel for being the chief legal advisor and having the authority to determine when to prosecute particular actions and sort of all the legal decision-making that the charter vests in my role. And that is because legal services, there are sort of two reasons for why our state controller's advice and the general municipal law exclude legal services, these types of relationships of confidence from the kind of general procurement procedures. One is because the person who procures it has a decision-making framework and ethical obligations that go beyond the specific, that bind their decision-making. The other is in the nature of the services themselves. So just for a couple of quick examples, any law firm, for example, that might be appropriate to provide outside municipal defense work. It's highly specialized and isn't kind of amenable to the sort of apples to apples comparison that you typically provide, you apply to other types of service procurement. You also have, in the case of the city of Kingston, moving out from sort of my outside counsel needs, but say to some of our other departments, long-standing established relationships with specific law firms, and the information that is accrued over time with that firm inures to the benefit of the taxpayers in ways that would be difficult to quantify. If you ever had to try to compare that with, some other firm, they would have to come in and learn about every tax, litigation matter that has happened over time. There's also the confidentiality that attends to those relationships. And that doesn't just go in the direction of sort of the city and the provider, but also to that provider and individuals who could conflict out that provider. And so I don't want to give a specific example in open session because it does relate to, say, pending litigation, bring it back to my office. But it is possible, this is why general municipal law and the controller exempted, that someone whose interests are adverse to that of the city could disqualify potential attorneys, because once you have even a prospective relationship, a prospective attorney-client relationship, you may be disqualified from providing services to someone else. And so there are a lot of reasons why, when you have these other ethical constraints, procuring those services is not the same as other types of procurement.
And then for other, engineers, other professional stuff, like who has the say? Is it like the mayor then, or is it the procurement?
So I think in the manual, it never is a single person type of decision for that. There is, I think, generally a consultative, just going to be a list, so I don't have it in front of me. I do have, the research that we've put together to kind of clarify the legal services component. I think the mayor is involved in working with the other department heads when there is that type of highly specialized exempted service. But I'm just focusing on legal because there are some specific quirks to forming an attorney-client relationship, and time is generally of the essence as well.
Sure.
Any other questions? Are we good with sending it back to the full committee then? Yes, yes, yes. Do we have a formal vote for that? I always forget.
So you're sending it back to the full council?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you have to.
Yeah.
Well, it's already been
It was
approved.
approved.
Yes.
It just goes
Yeah,
back.
so it's the same, and you're not making any changes.
No.
Yeah, so just go back.
Okay. Go back.
Elisa, did you get that?
I'm trying to follow it. So it's going back to the floor.
Procurement policy, but there won't be a new committee report. Do you want me to send you an email in the morning to remind you?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
So it's not going to be any changes, is it's going to go back to, this resolution is going back to the floor
Yeah.
at next month's common council.
Yeah.
That's correct. And then you all got my email about the Golden Hill pilot, right?
Yeah.
Alright.
Still under negotiation.
Yep.
Okay, then I think we're done. Motion adjourned, seconded, all in favor? Say I'm getting out of here. All right.
Maybe you get a good report on. Still come from his baby. Bye, Lisa.
Bye, Lisa.
Bye, Lisa.